Was I wrong for what I did? Honestly, I've replayed that day in my head 1,000 times, and I still don't know. One moment, I was standing in the shadows, thrilled to hear my son's voice. The next, I was listening to him confess a betrayal so cold and complete that it turned my blood to ice. He was talking about me, about his own father, and he was laughing. Tomorrow, the useless old man will lose it all. He'd said, and the sound of that laughter is a sound I know I'll take to my grave. Tell me, if your own flesh and blood planned to financially cripple you and destroy your life, all for a lavish wedding and a greedy new family, would you have done the same thing I did? Let me take you back, not to the day of the wedding, but to the weeks leading up to it. My son, Daniel, was marrying Clara. She was beautiful, charming, and came from the kind of wealth that makes headlines. I'm not a poor man. I spent my entire life building a successful manufacturing business from the ground up, ensuring my family would never want for anything. My wife, Martha, and I gave Daniel every advantage: the best schools, a sizable trust fund he would inherit on his 30th birthday, and the promise of taking over my company when I finally retired. Daniel was 28, bright, and seemed genuinely happy with Clara. Martha and I were overjoyed. We loved Clara, or at least, the version of her we thought we knew. Her parents, the Wainwrights, were intense. They spoke exclusively in terms of percentages, market value, and quarterly returns, even when discussing hors d'oeuvres. They subtly, constantly, made it clear that while our money was nice, it wasn't Wainwright money. But I swallowed my pride. This was for Daniel. The wedding itself was an absurd extravagance. Clara's parents insisted on a destination wedding in the Caribbean, a week-long affair that must have cost millions. I was paying for a significant chunk of it: the rehearsal dinner, the open bar for all 7 days, and a considerable cash gift that was meant to be their nest egg. This gift was coming from my personal savings, not the business accounts, money I'd earmarked for Martha's and my retirement. But Daniel had convinced me it was essential to show face and secure his standing with the Wainwrights. I loved my son, and I wanted him to start his married life on the strongest footing possible, even if it meant dipping deeper into my reserves than I was comfortable with. I reassured Martha that we'd be fine. The business was solid, and the retirement accounts were mostly untouched. The night before the wedding, I decided to do something special for Daniel. He was staying in a separate villa with his groomsmen, and I planned to deliver a rare, expensive bottle of scotch I'd been saving since the day he was born. I wanted a quiet moment with my boy, a final toast before he became a husband. The villa was noisy when I arrived. Music was blaring, and the groomsmen sounded rowdy. I didn't want to interrupt their party, so I quietly let myself in through the side door, planning to leave the bottle on the counter with a note. As I walked down the hall, I heard Daniel's voice, clear and loud, coming from the balcony just off the living area. I paused, smiling, ready to eavesdrop on a sweet moment of male bonding, but the words that followed stopped me dead in my tracks, freezing me right there in the hallway. He wasn't talking to his friends. He was talking to Clara and the Wainwrights on a speakerphone. Daniel's voice was different, smug, sharp, and filled with a cold calculation I'd never heard before. "Yes, Dad signed the final transfer agreement today, just like we planned," he said, and I heard Clara giggle. Transfer agreement. My blood pressure spiked immediately. Then Mr. Wainwright spoke, his tone clinical. "Excellent. That puts the controlling shares of old man's manufacturing firmly in our portfolio before the honeymoon. The purchase agreement has already been finalized using the leverage he gave us. That generous cash gift your father insisted on providing was the final piece of capital we needed to execute the hostile takeover. It's perfect. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. Hostile takeover of my company **. Daniel's voice returned, dripping with contempt, the words that cut the deepest, **. Tomorrow, the useless old man will lose it all. He thinks he's giving us a nest egg, but he's funding his own financial ruin. He was so easy to manipulate, always talking about legacy. He'll be worthless by the time he gets back from the trip, and with the financial hit he'll take, he won't have the legal standing to challenge the acquisition. We own him. There was a chorus of laughter. Clara's light tinkle, Mrs. Wainwright's cackle, and Daniel's deep, sickening laugh. They had used my love, my pride, and my generosity against me. They had manipulated me into providing the very funds needed to seize my life's work. The cash gift was the final payment to finalize the betrayal. The transfer agreement was clearly something Daniel had tricked me into signing under the guise of pre-wedding paperwork. I stumbled back, dropping the scotch bottle. It hit the marble floor with a muffled thud, but the music covered the sound. My mind was screaming, a silent, agonizing roar of shock and denial. My own son, my legacy, was actively, gleefully destroying me. They weren't just taking the business. They were ensuring I was worthless, stripped of my financial stability and legal power before I even realized what was happening. They planned to pull the rug out from under me the moment I left the island. Martha and I would have been financially ruined, dependent on the crumbs they might toss us. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. The wedding wasn't a celebration. It was the victory party for a hostile takeover. I retreated silently, walking out of that villa and into the humid Caribbean night. The tropical air suddenly felt oppressive, poisonous. I didn't go back to my own villa. I needed solitude. I found a quiet, dark stretch of beach and sat there, the sound of the ocean a dull roar against the absolute silence in my heart. The betrayal was so complete, so meticulously planned. It wasn't just Daniel, it was Clara and the entire Wainwright family, professional predators using my son as their weapon. They had engineered this lavish wedding as the perfect distraction, a smoke screen for their corporate theft. They had already sealed the deal. Tomorrow, the day Daniel was supposed to become a husband, I would become destitute. I knew I couldn't confront him. If I did, they would execute the plan immediately and potentially flee the country with the assets. I needed time and leverage. I sat on that beach for hours, running every scenario through my mind, my initial shock hardening into a terrifying resolve. I had two options: let them walk away with everything and spend the rest of my life fighting a losing battle from the ground up, or use the last 12 hours I had before the closing documents were filed to fight fire with fire. So that's the situation I was in. My son, my prospective in-laws, and my future daughter-in-law had successfully pulled off a corporate and personal theft, planning my complete ruin to be finalized tomorrow, the very day they stood at the altar. I held the knowledge of their treachery, and I held a few hours before their plan was irreversible. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have gone through with the wedding, masking your pain, or would you have detonated the whole thing right there, in front of everyone? My decision crystallized just as the sun began to rise over the ocean. I couldn't just stop the wedding. I had to utterly dismantle their scheme and ensure the Wainwright's the architects of this whole mess suffered the maximum possible damage. My focus shifted from Daniel's personal betrayal to the Wainwrights' corporate greed. I got back to my villa, woke up Martha, and, leaving out the most painful details about Daniel, explained that there was a catastrophic financial fraud being executed by the Wainwrights that involved my business and that we had to act immediately. Martha, bless her pragmatic soul, asked only one question: "What do you need me to do?" I needed her to be my alibi and my lookout. First, I called David, my lawyer back home, waking him up at 4 a.m. I kept the conversation coded, telling him I needed him to immediately execute Operation Phoenix, a contingency plan we had put in place years ago for a potential hostile takeover threat from a major competitor. The plan involved a series of pre-signed documents, including irrevocable trance, for orders for key intellectual property, and a significant block of non-controlling shares to a shell company outside of the business's direct assets. Critically, these documents were notarized and dated for that morning. This action would severely devalue the company's worth and make the Wainwrights' imminent acquisition legally problematic and financially pointless. It was the nuclear option, designed to protect the core value from outside theft, even if it meant damaging the overall structure. It would save the essence of my life's work. Next, I went after the cash gift. They needed that money to close the deal. I had sent it via wire transfer to an offshore account Daniel had specified, claiming it was for a surprise honeymoon upgrade. I called my bank manager, who was accustomed to my urgent, morning demands. I told him the transfer was fraudulent and unauthorized, citing a security breach on my phone, easy to prove with a quick wipe and fresh data. It took massive pressure, but due to the size of the transfer, they agreed to issue a temporary hold and recall request pending an investigation. A freeze that would be sufficient to block deals closing today. With the corporate foundation of their scheme crumbling, I turned to the social component, the wedding. The Wainwrights had invested heavily in this lavish event as a status symbol. I called the main resort manager, whom I had dealt with extensively for the event. I explained that due to an immediate, unforeseen, and catastrophic family emergency, involving my son, the entire wedding event was canceled effective immediately. I cited the clauses in the contract about severe family trauma and demanded that all open accounts and vendor payments that had personally guaranteed be halted. Since I was paying for the majority of the food, the venue rental, and the 7-day open bar, this created instant, massive chaos and guaranteed the Wainwrights would be left holding the bill for everything they had ordered. I didn't care about the money I lost. I cared about stopping them. The wedding ceremony was scheduled for 11 a.m. on the beach. At 10:30 a.m., dressed in my tuxedo, I walked down to the reception area where the guests were gathering for pre-ceremony cocktails. The Wainwrights were already there, beaming, basking in the glow of their imminent corporate victory. I walked straight up to Mr. Wainwright. His smile was wide and false. Henry, ready to celebrate our family's merging. I leaned in, my voice low, firm, and filled with the venom I'd suppressed all night. "No, Gerald. I'm here to tell you that the deal is off, the money is frozen, and your hostile takeover of my company is now a meaningless acquisition of a devalued, structurally compromised asset." The color drained instantly from his face. "What are you talking about?" he whispered, his eyes darting around. "The closing documents were set for an hour from now." "They were," I confirmed, "but unfortunately, your funding has been recalled, and the asset you thought you were getting has been strategically emptied of its core value. You bought a very expensive, empty shell. You've lost your investment, and you've lost your face." That's when Daniel walked up, looking radiant in his suit, clueless about the corporate carnage I had just delivered. "Dad, what's with the whispers? It's my wedding day." I turned to my son, and the raw emotion I felt must have been visible to everyone. "Your wedding day? No, Daniel. This is your consequences day. I know about the transfer agreement. I know about the phone call. I know you planned to bankrupt your mother and me, and you used the lie of a wedding to do it. You used me, your father, as your own personal bank fraud machine. The moment I said, 'Bankrupt your mother and me,' the atmosphere changed from celebratory excitement to absolute, frozen silence. Martha, who was standing nearby, looked heartbroken but stood her ground. Clara, who was now next to Daniel, looked panicked. Daniel stammered, his face going white. "Dad, It wasn't like that. I didn't let him finish." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the one thing I had retrieved from my villa, the rare bottle of scotch, now secured in a velvet bag. I held it up. "This was for you, Daniel. I saved it since the day you were born. A father's legacy, meant to toast your happiness." I paused, meeting his gaze. "But you chose the Wainwright's legacy instead of ours." Then, with a slow, deliberate movement that felt intensely satisfying, I opened the bag and smashed the bottle on the marble floor at his feet. The dark liquid splattered onto his pristine white shoes. "Consider this your final toast. The wedding is cancelled. The company is safe from you. You have lost your father, and you have lost your future." The ensuing chaos was deafening. Clara shrieked at her parents, accusing them of ruining everything. Mrs. Wainwright started yelling about breach of contract and lawsuits. Daniel was hysterical, screaming about how I was selfish and had always held him back. The sheer volume of the fight drew every guest. I watched as the Wainwrights frantically pulled out their phones, realizing the scope of their financial disaster. They hadn't just lost the acquisition, they were financially exposed to the entire resort. I grabbed Martha's hand. "Let's go home, sweetheart. We left the entire wedding party in absolute turmoil on that beach. We took the next flight out, leaving behind a scene of utter destruction." The aftermath was long and draining. The Wainwrights did sue, but David, my lawyer, was brilliant. The transfer documents Daniel signed were easily nullified since they were based on a premeditated, fraudulent scheme. More importantly, because I had strategically devalued the company before their hostile takeover closed, the acquisition contract became meaningless, and they were left with a colossal bill for cancelled wedding, which they couldn't evade due to my early intervention. They suffered a major financial and reputational blow. Daniel was devastated, not by the loss of me, but by the loss of the money and his comfortable new life. Clara and the Wainwrights immediately cut him off. He was no longer a useful asset, and they were facing ruin. He tried to call, to beg, to rationalize, but I couldn't listen. His betrayal was too deep. The man who stood on that beach was not the boy I raised. Martha and I are doing well. I had to restructure the company, which was tough, but we are solid. We sold the old mansion. It held too many ghosts. We bought a smaller, simpler home, and we are finally enjoying the peace and stability we deserve. I miss my son every single day. The silence where his laughter used to be is the highest price I paid. But when I look at Martha, secure and happy, I know I made the right choice. I protected her, and I protected the legacy I spent my life building from the vultures who wanted to consume us whole. It was the hardest thing I ever did, but sometimes the only way to save your life is to shatter the illusion that was destroying it. Like this video if you were on my side. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll see you all in the next story.